Okay, here's a question I got from Jonathan. Do I have to scale my business? What does scaling actually mean? And is it really necessary? Let's talk about growth that actually fits your life, fits your business, fits your needs. Let's dive in. Hey, beautiful human, and welcome to the Bold Women in Business Summer Series, where we're going for fast, fierce clarity so you can get back to your busy summer plans. I'm your host, Rachel Honeyman, founder of Honey Be Bold, and in 15 minutes or less, I'm going to answer one game-changing question to help you brand smarter, market bolder, and connect deeper. Go grab your floaties and let's dive in. When I first launched my business 2.5 years ago, coming up on 3 years ago, I met with this woman who runs a 60 plus person agency. She's super impressive and we've become friendly, and I've actually done some work for her agency before. And the first question she asked me was, are you planning to grow your agency into something like mine? And I said respectfully, no, definitely not. So if you've been in the business world for more than 5 minutes, you're probably hearing these messages constantly. This constant chatter that you have to scale your business, right? You need to build a team. You need to build a course that automates everything and gives you passive income. And you need to grow into this mega corporation. And people are always asking, how are you going to scale? How are you going to scale? How are you going to scale? And in some ways it's understandable. And many of us do want to scale. But what if you're actually happy with what you're building? What if you don't actually want to grow into a mega corporation or a large business? Is that allowed? Are you allowed to just say, I don't really want to scale? Spoiler alert, yes, you are allowed to say that. You don't need to be working on anyone else's timeline or anyone else's measures of success. In this Bold Summer Short, we're going to be diving into this topic and really redefining what does success look like. We're going to be challenging some of the default business advice you might be hearing. We'll be talking about how to build a business that actually serves your life and your needs and your business and what you want to build. So let's talk about this. There's this common narrative that you have to scale or die, that a business is kind of like on, an escalator going down. If you are not constantly fighting against it and you're constantly growing and you're constantly moving forward, you'll be taken down the escalator and you're going to die. Why is this advice everywhere? Well, I think that one reason is it often benefits the people who are selling you something, right? If someone says to you, I have this method or I have this product or this service that I sell that will help you scale your business, they are benefiting from this idea that you need to be scaling. They're preying on that. That's number one. Number two is our society, right? Our society is just kind of this more is better mentality. And that really, really seeps into business culture. It's kind of a capitalist idea. And I am personally a fan of capitalism, actually. That may not be so popular. But I think that as business owners, we are, whether we like it or not, we are pro-capitalist, right? In the sense that we are trying to build something, we're trying to grow something, we're trying to have a profitable business and build something for ourselves. I don't think that capitalism has to mean what many people believe it means, which is, being greedy and evil and all of that. I don't think it has to mean that. I think it often does mean that. I think a lot of people take it there, but just kind of putting it out there. I don't believe that it is wrong. But one of the things that comes out of a capitalist mentality is this idea that more is better, and more isn't always better. Scaling a business isn't always aligned with what you want to be building. It's not always aligned with your creativity, your fulfillment, your sense of sustainability. It's not always the thing that is going to get you to where you want to go. But sometimes scaling does make sense. So when does it make sense? One key way to know that you need to be scaling is that you're burnt out. You're just doing too much. You are maxed out on your time and energy and what you're putting into your business, but you still want to grow your income. So scaling in that case may mean building more systems, hiring help, shifting your model, changing your offerings, right? It can mean a lot of different things, but the key is if you are super burnt out because you're just doing it all and you can't sustain that and you've kind of maxed out what you can do, you're only one person, or even if you have a small team, if you are maxed out and you cannot scale your income at the level that you're at and you need to scale your income, then that's when you need to scale. And scaling, again, can look different ways, but it's time to make an intervention. It's time to change how your business is running today. You need to scale. The second sign that it's time to scale is you're doing things that you don't want to be doing. This is somewhat related to the first one, but it's a little different, right? If you are having to spend a lot of your time on, let's just say, admin work, right? You're spending time on your invoicing and your billing and your finances, and that's taking you away from the things that you want to be doing, right? And really staying in your zone of creative genius. That's a good sign that it's time to scale because you should be delegating the pieces that you really hate doing. Now, I'm going to push back on something that is commonly said in the business world, which is you should never be doing things that you hate, right? Make a list of all the tasks that there are to be done in your business and highlight all the things that you hate doing and delegate all of those things to someone else. That's not always an option. We have to be realistic. That's not always an option. But if you are spending a considerable amount of your time on some tasks that can be delegated to someone else, and they're taking you away from the thing that actually is going to grow your business and help you do better work, it's time to delegate those things. So again, this could look like hiring more people. It could mean hiring a VA or something like that to take some of the admin work off your plate. Or there may be other parts of your business where you need help. So hiring someone to delegate those tasks to. It could mean using software to automate some of those tasks, or it could mean productizing some of your services so that there is a recurring source of revenue and some things are at least happening a little bit on autopilot. Number 3 is you have bigger aspirations. You are dreaming of making a bigger impact. You want more visibility. You want more revenue. You have dreams and you started this business with big dreams. It's totally okay to have big dreams. And I encourage you to have big dreams. You should be reaching for the stars, as they say, right? I don't think that reaching for the stars means the same thing for all people, but I do think that you should be reaching for the goals that feel right to you. So if you have bigger aspirations, then scaling is going to be necessary if you are maxed out at what you can do as a solopreneur or as a really small team. You may need the 60 plus person company, right? You may need to build this into something much, much bigger to have the impact that you want to have, right? If you have dreams of transforming the healthcare system, you're not going to be able to do that with a teeny tiny company. It's just not going to be possible. It's too big of a challenge to overcome. But if, like me, I'm trying to help small business owners make a bigger impact in their businesses, in their little worlds, right? And that in turn makes my world a little bit bigger. I don't need a massive team to do that. I need a small team to do that. And there are some limits to how much I can scale that. But there's no need for me to build a massive company to make that impact. So it's important to be realistic about what type of impact do you want to make? And do you need a lot of people behind you to make that happen? Now, scaling doesn't just mean more people, but we'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk about what scaling can mean. The last sign that you should be looking at scaling is that you actually want more space. You're not trying to make more money or grow your company as big as possible. You want to do less, right? You want more space to do other things in your life. Your business is not the most important thing in your life. You want to have intentional boundaries, passive income, retainer models, things that allow you to have more space to focus on, for example, your family or travel or whatever other pieces are really important to you. And again, all of the 4 things that I just mentioned are very interlinked. There's a lot of connection between them. Or there can be. For some people, the idea of impact, they don't necessarily want to have impact at scale. They want to have really deep impact in their little area of what they want to do. But they may also need to build more space into their life. They may need their business to be more profitable to make that happen. They may need to have a bigger team to take some of those things off of their plate. Maybe they're maxed out and burnt out, and they need more people to help them do that. So all of these things are really, really interlinked. But let's talk about what scaling actually means, because we tend to think of scaling as making as much money as possible or having as big a team as possible. right? Those are the things that we tend to think about as scaling. But I think that scaling can also mean building the business that you want to build. And whatever that looks like is going to depend on you and your needs and what you want to achieve with this business. Again, a marker of success for you might be, I am able to spend more time with my kids at night, right? That might be a really core value of yours that this business needs to allow you to do. So scaling is going to really depend on what your goals are. You don't necessarily need the biggest team or the most amount of money to make that happen. Now, this question came, like I said at the beginning, from Jonathan, a friend, colleague, client of mine, who shared with me that he's actually really happy with where his business is at. He has a really fantastic business model, really sustainable business model, and he's making enough money. So he's like, I don't really need more money, and I'm really okay with that. Do I need to scale? So then I asked him all these questions, right? I said, are you doing things that you don't want to be doing? Are you burnt out? Are you lacking the space that you need in your life? What kind of impact do you want to make? He has a business model that really could scale, in terms of how many people he's able to reach, it can scale pretty much as he wants it to. But when I asked him these questions and he came into the conversation saying, I have enough money. When we dug in a little bit deeper, it turns out he actually is spending a fair amount of his time on tasks that he doesn't want to be spending time on. So that to me is where scaling comes in. Could growing his team and taking some of those things off of his plate and turning his attention to the things that he loves doing, could that in turn lead to more revenue? It could, absolutely, especially in his case with how he's building his business. It absolutely could. For some people, bringing on more help means more money out of your pocket, and you're not necessarily going to see a strong ROI from that initially. But it doesn't really matter. The idea here is really defining what scaling means for you and how you want to build your business. If you decide that you want to stay small and simple and lean, that is not a failure, right? Your business is just as legitimate as one that is 100 plus people large, right? I personally plan to make some changes in my business in the coming year and hopefully grow my team a little bit so that I can scale in the ways that feel right to me. But again, I have no plans to ever build this into a massive company. I want to stay small. I want to stay personal. I want to stay really lean and connected to my clients. Some people build one-person empires that are wildly profitable and deeply joyful. Growth does not equal scaling. You can grow in a lot of ways in your business, and that can be in the depth of your offerings. It can be in mastering your craft. It can be in the sense of joy you get from your business or the sense of alignment you have with your clients. You get to define success. So more time, more peace, more meaning, these things are just as meaningful and valuable as more money, right? And it's really up to you to define what that means. A lot of people who come to me are actually coming at a point where their business is not profitable enough to even be thinking about scaling. And that's a really common place to be in as a small business owner. It's really, really common. But there does come a point where you have to ask, could I achieve what I want to financially and in other ways in my business if I brought on more help, or if I delegated some pieces of this, or if I scaled what I'm offering? Like, all of these different things kind of come into play. And it's a really crucial point where you have to ask yourself, what does scaling really mean to me? And is it necessary? Do I need it to happen to really feel connected, aligned, and proud and fulfilled with my business? So I'm going to urge you to try to not let those outside pressures weigh on you so much. Really think about, what is the business that you want to build, and are you on the path to building it? If you're feeling that pressure to scale, but you're not sure if it's the right thing for you, shoot me a DM. Let's chat. I'd love to hear what you're struggling with and how I can help. Okay, that's all for me for today. I'll see you next week. All right, beautiful human, that's your bold hit of the week. Short, sharp, and straight to the point. If this helped, share it with a friend, leave a review, or DM me your biggest aha. This show was brought to you by my company, Honey Be Bold, with music by Shmukulele. Need help taking your business to the next level? Visit us at honeybebold.com, that's HONEYBEBOLD.com, and set up a free vibe check with yours truly. Until next time, stay bold and always wear sunscreen.